the fairest of them all? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. Once upon a winter's day, a queen sat sewing at her open window. As she looked out at the snow that lay over the palace gardens, she pricked her finger with the needle, and 3 drops of blood fell on the snow, turning it rosy pink. How beautiful it looks, she thought, and in that moment she wished for a child with skin as white as snow, rosy pink cheeks, and hair as black as the ebony winter frame. Soon she had a daughter with skin as white as snow, rosy cheeks, and hair as black as ebony, and she was called Snow White. But sadly, the queen died, and a year later, the king married again. The new queen was beautiful, but so vain that she could not bear anyone to be lovelier than herself. She would often look into a magic mirror and ask, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of us all?" And the mirror would answer, "O Queen, you are the fairest in the land." Then she was pleased, because her mirror always spoke the truth. But Snow White grew up, and by the age of 7, she was lovelier than the queen herself. This made the queen so jealous, she could hardly bring herself to look at Snow White. Instead, she looked at herself in the mirror and asked, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of us all?" And the mirror replied, "O Queen, lovely though you are, Snow White is lovelier by far." This made her so angry that she told one of her servants to take Snow White into the wild wood and kill her. "I never want to see her again," she said. The servant hurried away, and carrying Snow White on his horse, he rode out of the castle and across the hills until they reached the middle of the wild wood. There he set her down on the ground and pulled out his knife. "Please don't hurt me," sobbed Snow White. "I will run away and promise never to return." The servant felt sorry for the poor child and let her go. The wild beasts would soon make a meal of her anyway, he thought, and he was glad not to have to kill her himself. So Snow White was left alone in the wild wood. She was very frightened and began to run, though she had no idea where she was going. The wild beasts hiding in the trees saw her distress and did not harm her. It was almost dark when Snow White finally came across a little house in a clearing. Too tired to run any further, she knocked on the door. But there was no answer. Opening the door gently, Snow White stepped inside. Everything in the house seemed neat and tidy, but curiously small. There was a low table laid with 7 little plates and 7 little mugs. As Snow White was so hungry, she took a little food and drink from each place in turn. Then she saw 7 little beds against a wall. One of them was a little larger than the others, and as Snow White was so very tired, she crawled into it, pulled up the covers, and was soon fast asleep. Before long, the owners of the little house came home. They were 7 dwarfs who worked in the hills digging for gold. As soon as they went in, they realized that someone had been there. "Hey, someone's been tasting my food and drink," one of the dwarfs complained. The others crowded round the table. "Yes, our food's been nibbled too," they cried. The fourth dwarf looked around and cried out suddenly, "Come and see, there's someone in my bed." He kept bed, astonished to see a lovely bear. Careful not to wake her, the dwarfs ate their supper and went to their beds, making room for their brother, so that they didn't disturb their visitor. The next morning, Snow White was as surprised to see the 7 little men as they had been to see her. She told them her sad story while they ate breakfast, and hoped that they would let her stay with them. The dwarfs talked it over among themselves. "If you promise to keep our house neat and tidy, and cook our meals," said the first dwarf at last, "then you can stay." "Oh, I will," said Snow White. "Thank you all so much." The good dwarfs all cheered. And so it was. Every morning the dwarfs left to work in the gold and copper mines in the hills, while Snow White remained at home to do all the housework. The dwarfs grew very fond of her, and each day warned her to look out for her stepmother. "She is sure to find out where you are, so don't let anyone in the house." But the wicked queen still thought Snow White was dead. One day she went to her magic mirror and asked it her usual question. This time the mirror replied, "You must know that Snow White lives with 7 dwarfs among the hills. O Queen, you may be lovely too, but she's far lovelier than you." The queen shook the mirror in her rage. Determined now to deal with Snow White herself, the queen masked her face, and disguised as an old peddler woman, she set out into the wild wood to find the home of the 7 dwarfs. "Pretty necklaces! Who will buy my pretty necklaces?" she croaked outside Snow White's window. The necklace sparkled so prettily that Snow White thought that there would be no harm in taking a look. "This one is just right for you, my dear," said the old woman. "Come, let me put it on for you." But she pulled it so tightly around Snow White's throat that the poor child choked and fell down in a dead faint. "There's an end to all your beauty," snarled the wicked queen, leaving her for dead. The 7 dwarfs were horrified when they came home and saw Snow White sprawled on the ground. But then they saw the tight necklace round her neck and cut it loose at once. Snow White gasped in a little while, sat up, and began to feel better. As soon as she was home again, the wicked queen went straight to her mirror, but once again said, "Queen, you loved me is far lovelier than you. Still alive? Now I will find something that will definitely put an end to you." She took an apple that was golden on one side and red on the other, and filled the red side with poison. Then she disguised herself as a farmer's wife, put the apple carefully in a basket with some others, and set off once more for the house of the 7 dwarfs. "Sweet apple for sale! Lovely juicy apples!" she cried out as she reached the house. Snow White opened the window. "I'm not allowed to let anyone in," she said. "Won't you just try one?" said the Winded Woman. But Snow White shook her head. "Are you afraid it's poisoned?" asked the woman, and she cut the apple in half. "Here, you have the lovely red half, and I'll eat the other." But as soon as Snow White bit into the poisoned apple, she fell senseless to the ground. The Queen cackled with glee as she went on her way. Fortunately, the 7 dwarfs came home earlier that day. When they lifted Snow White from the ground, the poisoned apple fell from her mouth, and she was saved. The dwarfs reminded her that she must be even more careful, for the wicked queen might yet come again. Back at her castle, the queen put on all her finest clothes before she went to look in her mirror. But when she heard exactly the same answer as before, she cried, "Snow White shall die, if it costs me my life," and rushed out. She went straight to her secret witch's den, and there she brewed a terrible potion, into which she dipped a golden comb. Putting on yet another disguise, she returned to the house of the 7 dwarfs. When Snow White heard a knock at the door, she opened the window and saw an old beggar selling combs. Forgetting the dwarf's warning, she felt so sorry for the old man that she bought the comb he offered her. But as soon as she fixed the comb into her ebony hair, her potion worked its magic and Snow White fell down dead. "This time the dwarfs won't be able to wake you up again," sneered the beggar, who was of course the wicked queen in disguise. Back home in the castle, the queen went straight to her mirror. "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of us all?" And the mirror at last replied, "O Queen, you are the fairest in the land." And the wicked queen was happy, as far as a wicked heart can ever be. The dwarfs came home to find Snow White lying up on the ground, and nothing they did could revive her. They laid her gently on a bed and wept. This time Snow White was truly dead. "We cannot bury her in the cold earth," they said, so they put her in a glass coffin instead, and on it they mounted a plaque engraved with a name and that she was a king's daughter. They placed the coffin on a mound sheltered by trees. The dwarfs took it in turn to watch over her. The birds and the creatures of the forest came too, and all mourned Snow White. And so she remained for a long, long time, and still she looked as lovelier as ever, with skin as white as snow, rosy cheeks, and hair as black as ebony, as if she were only sleeping. It happened one day that a prince came riding through the wild wood and saw the coffin. As soon as he gazed upon Snow White, who had by then grown into a beautiful young lady, he fell deeply in love with her. "I cannot live without her," he said. "Please let me take her with me," he begged the dwarfs. "Not for all the gold in the world," was the reply. But the prince was so heartbroken that eventually they agreed to let him take Snow White and the coffin back to his castle. The moment he lifted up, the poisoned comb fell out of Snow White's hair, and she opened her eyes. "Where am I?" she asked. You are with me, said the prince. I love you more than all the world, and I want you to be my wife. The happy news of the prince's engagement spread throughout the land. The 7 dwarfs were, of course, invited to the royal wedding, but the wicked queen was not. The next time that she went to a mirror, she asked, Mirror, mirror, tell me true, who's the fairest? Tell me who. The mirror answered, O queen, lovely though you are, the new princess is lovelier by far. The queen cried out bitterly, Who is this new princess? How dare she be lovelier than me? She put on her grandest clothes and went to the prince's palace to see the princess for herself. Imagine her startled surprise when she arrived and saw that the princess was none other than Snow White. The queen gave a strangled cry and fainted clean away. Her footmen carried the wicked queen back to her coach and returned her to the castle. And there she remained for the rest of her life, growing old and ugly. But Snow White and her prince lived for many years in peace and happiness.